are live.
Okay, hello and welcome to our actual play of Curse of Strahd, as presented by For the Love of Crits. I'm Level 1 Dungeon Master Hunter Rayu, and thank you again for joining us as we follow our lost clerics of Barovia deeper into the mist. Curse of Strahd is created by Wizards of the Coast. It is known for its dark themes and mature content. Viewer discretion is advised due to the adult language and themes. We ask that you keep the chat civil, void spoilers for this Wizards of the Coast adventure, as well as any others, and please, for the love of crits, like, comment, and subscribe. When we last left our lost clerics of Barovia, they were running on the heels of the tiger accidentally terrorizing the town. Arriving at the Church of St. Andrew, they were able to calm down a lot of the townsfolk, be able to assist, and then Graves decided to fill in for Milovage, being able to continue to assist the father where was needed. At this point, the party split up and went their own separate ways for differing purposes. The most stationary of which was Onyx. He stood within the graveyard of the church, watching, seeing if he could see patterns of people moving about. He didn't catch too much, nor was he seen by very many people. The most interesting was the sight of Irina with a new quarter as she was walking along the road with him. We go over to Graves, digging a grave, and he had a conversation with one of the Voctor boys. He didn't reveal too much about himself, but he did let them know that his mother, Lady Fionna Voctor, had invited them and his companions to the Voctor house for breakfast the next morning. Going forward, we had Herbert and Conereth decide to check the Arasek stockyard, looking for adventuring supplies and possibly just some information regarding the tiger that had escaped and its owner, Rictavio. Arriving there, they met Gunther and Yelena Arasek, the owners of the Arasek stockyard. The Gunther appeared to want to be able to help, but it was slightly beyond his means. Seeing an opportunity that would benefit both of them, he asked for Conereth and Herbert to get a barrel of wine for his wife's birthday. The Wizards of Wine winery has not been flowing the wine to the city of Vallaki as is usual. This is something that you have heard a few times since joining Vallaki, and other than Fionna Voctor, you don't have too much else that you've been looking into.
I wonder if we should go to the Wizard of Wines.
Well, you could also return the toy to the girl before her birthday party, but...
Oh yeah, Pitlick. We bought him for a reason.
Yeah.
But that is where we had last left our intrepid heroes. They were studying the Tome of Strahd, and they saw that there is... Trying to remember what was revealed to you when we had last done that.
Oh, yes.
Right.
That he's...
We learned all his plans.
Yes.
Yeah.
That he believes that his reunion... he believes that he has been wrong, and that his reunion with Tatiana will not be his escape.
Correct.
That being said...
Yeah.
I just realized I'm not in Tailspire because I had to restart it, modded.
We're professionals here.
Okay. Are you guys doing anything in the church itself before you leave for the morning?
I would love to conduct a ritual and animate my familiar.
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I got the incense last session.
Yes, it cost you a pretty penny as well.
Yes. 20 gold. But I will burn half of the incense because I got 2 blocks. And spend an hour performing the arcane ritual to animate this copper wire owl.
Okay.
It's just like literally like long like strips of wire that have been bent in such a way to like resemble an owl, essentially. But yeah, he is going to complete this ritual, and hopefully Bartholomew can join us.
Bartholomew.
Okay. For the rest of the clerics, is there anything that you guys are doing along with your morning rituals?
I'm just picking my spells.
Watching Konereth, making sure he doesn't turn more purple.
It's hard to tell because he's fully armored again.
It is true that that was another thing revealed in the bathing of the party. It was shown that Konereth had been hiding a disfiguring mark across his arms as they were approaching. Or that has happened since the party has joined one another. Let me see. Okay, the morning is kind of a hustle bustle of the priest preparing for his own morning rituals as you are traveling through. Does anyone assist him with his morning ritual?
If I can keep an eye on Konereth, I might.
Okay. So, with the excitement, everything yesterday, people are somewhat returning to normal. Now, with everything else, you find it quite odd that despite the early hour of the morning, who has the highest passive perception, or are you all equal?
I think we're all equal except for maybe
I think
Herbert.
one was ahead.
I'm behind. It's the opposite. We're
Oh,
all
it's the opposite?
Yeah, the rest of us are
Okay,
at
so
13.
Herbert, you are kind of focused on your familiar. The rest of you do hear a rapping on the front door of the church.
Oh, the door's supposed to be locked at this hour.
Like aggressive rapping or
Kind of like a definitely someone's hitting it fairly hard, but it's more rhythmic. It doesn't sound like they're trying to be annoying. You only hear it 3 or 4 times and then it stops.
Father, I think somebody's here for you.
Can you get it? I'm going to
Sure.
be okay on this.
I really wanted to make a joke, in talking about aggressive rapping. Like, are we talking like this rapper or that rapper? But I don't know rappers. So I was really trying. I don't
Kelly or
like I need like an aggressive and a
Drake?
non-aggressive.
I don't know.
Alright, so you open the door and no one is there. However, on the middle of the door around your shoulder height, there is a sign that has been nailed to the door there. Looking at it, you see that it has a raven-like simplistic symbol that's been kind of inked on there. And it says, "Come one, come all to the greatest festival of the year, Raven's Revelry."
Oh, this is
Looking
new.
out across, you can see that these signs are plastered everywhere around around the city. Kind of a echo of what the members of this community have been going through for years.
This is next week's festival, I suppose.
Is it weekly? I thought it was monthly.
No, it's weekly.
God.
We arrived just after the wolves had something.
How much money do they waste on these festivals?
Probably a fair bit.
You'd think the amount of money that they waste on these festivals, they could feed everybody.
Yeah.
That's what keeps all well here,
Oh,
apparently.
I wonder if you have to feed the shells.
Herbert, I'm not too familiar with the mechanics of your familiar. Is there any checks that need to be rolled, or is it just kind of a once a day thing you can do as a ritual?
It's a one-time thing. So I cast the spell as a ritual once,
Okay.
and then I have the familiar, so I don't need to do it each day.
unless it
Uh,
dies or you want to change
yeah.
its shape.
Exactly. Yep. And it costs it consumes the incense that we use. It's
What is its
not
name?
technically, its name is Bartholomew. It's an owl,
The clockwork
statistically,
owl.
which has a stat block and 5e.
How do you spell the name?
Barty.
B-A-R-T-Y.
B-A-R-T.
Bardy. Bard. Okay, I heard. I was thinking Marty at first. I
Barth-
misheard.
Bartholomew.
Oh, Bartholomew. Okay, that makes more sense.
Yes.
Okay.
Birdie for short. But yeah, so familiar acts independently of me. Though
And
a lot
can
of people
do
just,
anything and cast 9th level spells.
yes,
Yeah.
I can cast True Resurrection, and
Like,
Cash wish.
50 ninth level
only
slots a
6
day.
times a day. Yeah, only 6 times a day. It's fine.
Yeah. Right. 50 is how many first level slots it has.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think it's got like 1 or 2 hit points. Movement speed, fly
There
speed.
he is.
When it's within 100 feet of me, I can communicate with it telepathically.
Okay.
But it can only really communicate like empathically. Sort of. It's not like, unless you determine that it is like something that can speak. It usually is like it has creature level intelligence.
Are you attacking the owl too? It doesn't tell me what you guys are doing. It just asks that you're requesting to do something. Stop it.
Kill it now.
All right. So yeah, we have owl. I gave you permission of it. I made it unique so we can add it in later on.
Oh, excuse me.
Does that work well for you for a token?
Perfect. Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Beautiful.
Little Barty.
Okay.
And click
But
fly
I
on
can
it.
dismiss it as an action and resummon it as an action too. Or I think dismissing it doesn't cost an action.
I forget how to cast fly or like make people fly.
It's
Yeah,
you
you
have
have
to
to
right click. I think I might have to enable it.
Yeah, you can just leave it flying, I guess, if that's okay.
See,
Gotcha.
I think it might
Onyx
be
is
DM2.
flying.
Yay!
And Graves is dead.
Okay, so that being said, you guys open the door. You see the rest of the town. You can see that there's multiple other signs being hung up, and it appears that it's guards that are going around and hanging them up.
Okay.
As you're going, you do see Isaac, the captain of the guard, kind of overseeing some of these. And as you guys open the door, he kind of looks over the church and sees you. His eyes linger on you for a minute, or not a minute, like about 10, 15 seconds, and then he
Higher
looks
60
away.
seconds.
I just wave, close the door.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, it's just the sign for the next festival, the Raven's Revelry.
Oh,
So it looks
another
like-
one.
Is there a
Yes.
lot of like divots in the wood where like multiple posters have been posted in the same spot?
Yes. Yeah, there's
Luther made a
definitely
lot of treks up here.
Yeah, it's been a lot of kind of like how corkboard bulletin boards eventually just kind of wear out. That's what it's kind of starting to look like.
Cast mending and seal some of the cracks up.
Yeah. It never ends. What's this one called?
Raven's Revelry.
Mm,
The greatest festival of the year, in fact.
Oh,
all of them are.
If you weren't aware. Well, this one's even greater than the last. And I suppose the next one will be even greater. I am dipping into my bard-like character. I started to his personality, and I'm like, this is Graves. He's not this flamboyant.
Let's
the other
roll
guy.
in sarcasm.
That's Felix, not Graves.
I wonder if Mirabelle will be attending. She's a raven after all.
Mirabelle?
Oh, there's a raven that we met along the way. It seems to be following us.
Ah,
Speaking of what is that? And I'll just point at Barney like, what is that?
Yes, hello. This is Bartholomew. Say hello, Bartholomew, and he'll flap his wings. He's a magical familiar, actually. I was doing a little research on Rose's spell book, and I was able to piece some things together and combine it with some things that I knew about arcane constructs, and voila.
He is adorable. I love him.
Yes, if anything were to happen to him, I would kill everyone in this room and myself. I'm kidding, of course. Yes,
Okay, that's good.
I am being facetious. Yes.
Insight check.
That's just why Herbert is lying through his teeth. Barovia has worn thin.
He is, and I look to him, and he gives me sort of a disapproving look because he knows what I'm about to say, and he's like, he is unfortunate. I mean, he is technically expendable. Because I can bring him back for only 10 gold, but I must get my hands on some sort of arcane components.
Is that the incense you were looking for like our entire stay in Vallaki?
Yes.
So we don't want to do that more than necessary.
Exactly. Yes, seems to be quite hard to come by around here. But yes, I do apologize, Father. Perhaps you may have to wait a little bit until your next shipment comes in. Hopefully you have some.
I might be okay. I ordered extra. Why is he a Jersey priest? I'll
Why
be
not?
okay. I ordered extra for St. Andrew's feast next week.
Good.
I think that takes. Yes, it will take place the day before this Raven's Revelry.
Right, that as well.
I would love for you to attend if you are in town at the time.
That was in 2 days?
6 days now, I think.
No, it's 5 days out now because it's every week and it's 1 week, or it's 1 day before, so 6 days. Yeah. So on the 6th day, I am going to get a calendar for you guys to make it a bit easier to keep track of everything.
Is it a 7-day week or is it a 10-day week?
I believe that Wizards of the Coast is by default a 7-day week, right?
It's 10 days.
What?
Yep.
Well, it's a 7-day week now, so that's why I've been going off in my head. I didn't know they had a 10-day week.
Well, we have a 7-day
against
week,
nature.
38-day months, 10 months. What kind of monster would make some weird calendar like that with like 5 different moons? Like
I will accept a pantheon of gods that are constantly in battle like it's a Game of Thrones sitcom. But I will not accept a 10-day week.
Yeah.
I'm like, that goes against nature.
Yeah.
That's where I draw the line.
Because nature cares about the day of the week.
It's actually interesting because like when I was trying to figure out, I decided on a 7-day week for my homebrew world. The way that different cultures initially counted, like in general, like numbers and stuff, is kind of mind-boggling. Like I remember there was this one village that when they counted, they said like Tuki, and they like pointed to the finger on their hand that corresponded. So it'd be like Tuki, and that would be 7. And they were able to count up to 20 that way by using their hands and their toes. But once it got above 20, they just said like the word twice and ruffled their hair to indicate that was more than the hairs on their head, and they were unable to count that number. And I'm like,
oh.
That's cool.
what? And it was just such a foreign concept to think about culture that never needed to count above 20.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
Man.
yeah,
Anyway,
it was really cool.
today,
Yeah.
yeah, Graves
Now
at this point,
you know.
I think it heard. I don't know if it's one of those like internet things that's just a lie, but I heard that one of the reasons why 12 is a popular number for counting is because there's that many segments to your fingers. So you can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So like as one-handed counting, it was an easy way to do that.
That's
So.
That's cool.
Weird.
But anyway, Graves like buttons up the button on his cuff on his shirt and kind of fixes his vest. And you hear a little bit of clinking underneath as you're like, oh, he's got his chain shirt under there. He's like, all right, anyway, we are supposed to be having breakfast.
Oh,
Is
yes.
everyone ready to go?
I forgot. Yes, I'll we have to change.
Do we have to?
Where are we going for breakfast again?
It's so uncomfortable.
Lady Voctus.
Right.
You're
Onyx
so
is like, this is so
tilted.
uncomfortable. Like, I hate these things. They get in the way.
I'm starting to wonder if we're losing sight of the overall goal here.
With the Burgermaster, yes. Lady Voctor, there's some things I'm very interested to learn from her myself. From her or about her. I have a personal interest that there may be things that we can learn about our overall goal here as well.
Yes, well, I think more information is power, obviously.
Yes. We're definitely not at the point where we could just march up to Ravenloft itself or anything like that, so we have to find out what we can and grow as we can. Well, I mean, we can. We'd probably die, but
I'm just wondering if at some point we should be a little bit more choosy about where we're trying to glean information from. Sometimes I feel like we've been grasping at straws.
oh, I agree for sure, but I feel that the Voctors are one of the most key places in Barovia as a whole for us to learn information at the moment.
I mean, we do have to understand that we're going into potentially the Lion's Den here. They've been accused of working with,
Exactly.
big guy.
And the Burgomaster
Exactly.
suspects the Voctor of spying on him. So, I mean...
Yes, and she spoke quite ill of the Burgermaster.
Maybe we can
I have...
figure out what the hell's going on.
Yes, I have reason to suspect her of other things that I would like to know.
You think she made the boys run away?
No, not related to that at all. I mean, maybe. No, more related to that, the previous Rasman cleric that was here a few months ago that we learned about, Itemu.
Oh.
I have suspicion.
Think she slept with him?
I think she killed him.
Oh, that's...
That doesn't preclude the other.
It does not.
That doesn't...
Technically, no, it doesn't. It
Herbert's like,
doesn't preclude it.
technically.
Technically, you are right. There is
Your
no
question's still
preclusion
valid.
there. The question is still valid, I suppose. I don't specifically think that, but I also don't specifically not think that. My background thing is like falling down.
Oh,
maybe Phrasma struck him down for being unfaithful.
From what we've heard of Itemu, I would be very shocked.
I mean, he could have been sleeping around with everybody.
I mean, everyone did seem
I
to like.
mean, that
Right.
doesn't really seem like a problem in the tenets of the Pharasman Church necessarily.
Oh.
I mean, it's a general guideline. It's probably not the best idea, but it's not necessarily like anything going against the faith.
Maybe she caught him cheating.
That could be it.
All right. Is anyone doing anything in town before making headway to the Vector house? Excuse me. Okay, so
Watching
you-
if Pidlick decides to do anything.
are you taking Pidlick with you to this?
Pidlick doesn't leave my
Might as well.
side.
Not
Might as
anymore.
well. He's
Pidlick
he's
is Onyx's
close to us.
familiar now.
Pretty much.
Nice.
That's pretty much how I've been running it.
Okay.
Great also probably in his mind try to recall the symbol that he saw on the Voctor's like sign outside their house, and definitely wants to like see if it's still like same symbol because it was weird. So when he gets there, basically like, is it still just the same symbol there?
Okay.
Or is that like something that was only temporarily there? Because he noted like that doesn't look like a normal like family crest.
Okay. So you guys arrive outside the Vector house. It's been a little while since we've been over here, so I'm going to read
I
the
think only Graves
description.
was over here anyway.
So
Yes.
this house seems disgusted with itself. A slouching roof hangs heavy over furrowed gables, and moss-covered walls sag and bulge under the weight of vegetation. As you study the house's sullen countenance, you hear the edifice actually groan. Only then do you realize the extent to which the house hates what it has become.
Oh, this poor house. Someone needs to give it some love.
It
I'll
has
put it
seen
on
better
picture.
days.
We just need to jack up the foundation in a couple places, maybe replace some key structural components, but fixable. Potentially.
Okay. As you approach Graves, you do still see the same symbol, the mask-looking symbol that you had saw previously.
Okay.
It is underneath the Vector house family crest, which matches the pendant that she was wearing.
Okay.
So, that being said, who knocks?
Also, I realized as we're approaching down this street, there is one thing I'd like to do besides. I'm
Okay.
gonna cast enhanceability on myself.
Okay,
For
for
wisdom
what
this time.
Wisdom. Okay.
I want that bonus on insight.
Okay. Fair enough. Does it change your physical appearance at all?
I don't think so.
I don't think so, but if
Maybe if you use the strength version.
I'm gonna say to Graves as he's casting that, I'm gonna go. Do you imagine you'll do most of the talking in here, potentially?
I certainly can, and I definitely have things I'd like to ask. But
I mean, I also dabble in the supportive magics, so I will cast enhance ability for the charisma one. Which one is that one?
Eagle Splendor.
Eagle's Splendor. Caw.
Graves is just social skills to the max now.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, so
Nice.
you knock upon the door and it opens fairly soon after, and you see the same woman that had helped you previously. She's slightly above middle age. And her you would recall her name was Patricia.
So yeah, I was gonna say I've heard her name, but Gary's completely forgotten it. So
Yeah, Graves
Ah.
would probably make a note of it. Let me.
oh yeah, Graves would have
Alright.
definitely noted it.
And I need to bring your tokens in.
Wachter has full revealed. Lit.
Yo, dog, this is lit.
It's a real big owl and cat and stuff over there. Oh, they got names.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
Spoilers. Go look.
Yeah, because it's so I can do. I can.
Oh, is it the
quickly-
light? Like the
Yeah,
lighting?
so I can hit apply, and it will immediately switch it
Oh,
to a morning light.
Oh, yeah, because they're morning, noon, sunset, and
Oh.
moonlight.
Neat.
Oh, that's why it's
Yeah,
lit.
and then if
That's
I
really
want to
cool,
hit
actually.
apply, then
Dude, is
it's
this place
nighttime.
like bigger than the Burgomaster's house?
Yeah, this is massive.
Yeah, so with the Tailspire maps, I find it's easier to have 4 full-scale maps, not have the buildings to necessarily scale.
Yeah.
And I think it might be just a victim of the original planning of Curse of Strahd because it's been around for so long. Is that sometimes the interior of the houses are bigger than the exteriors. Or that if you were
Yeah.
actually playing like in a token setup, you'd have no room to move around anywhere. So,
Excuse me.
yeah, these are kind of scaled up a little bit for the viewing pleasure of you guys because it'll make it a bit easier as you're going
Yeah.
along. So, I am going to switch it to noon though because it's going to be difficult to see otherwise.
That's
I
good.
would.
Yeah, the sun's like fully up now, kind of deal, I imagine. It's like when the shop's open. I mean, I guess it depends on time of day and it's cloudy in Barovia. But I like to see the map.
Actually, I'm just going to do that. I like the morning look. Apply, but I'm going to up the exposure.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Here you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that looks good.
Okay. So, open this up.
Like, good morning, Patricia, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we've, the Lady
Li-
Wachter invited us.
Yes, I will lead you to the dining room. Is there anything I may set aside for you?
Graves
Like
probably
a-
didn't bring his cloak or anything, so I was like, I'm fine.
So the front door opens into a narrow vestibule. You see 3 stained glass doors and wooden frames leading from it. Patricia immediately begins going left. Let me see if I can get a good person for you guys to follow.
Good. Random woman.
Exactly.
Female
There we go.
commoner.
I'll just do her. There we go. So she's going to open the door directly in front of you and then turn to the left and open up this large door. As you enter in here, you see an ornate dining table stretches the length of this room. A crystal chandelier hanging above it imperiously. The silverware is tarnished. The dishes are slightly chipped, yet all still seem quite elegant, and it does appear that they were cleaned recently, just are quite old. 8 chairs, their backs adorned with sculpted elk horns, surround the table. Arched windows, made from lattice work of iron and glass, look out onto the small, fog-swept estate. Patricia leads you in here, and she's like, "Please sit. The lady will be with you shortly."
Thank you very much. Graves will take a seat.
She bows and leaves the room. Go. And she's actually going to exit the way that she had come in.
Love Conair's method of getting in the chair.
I can't turn my token for some reason. Oh, there it goes. For some reason, it just randomly like locks in place.
Oh, it doesn't?
Like it.
That's odd.
Oh, nice.
If
I
you hold
nailed it.
Alt, you can change, just spin in spot.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
I probably shouldn't be at the head of the table, huh?
I saw you sit there. I was
But
like,
what
that's so
Onyx-
Onyx. He
It's
would
like-
go right up to the head of the table.
Yeah, I was
with
gonna
all those
say. I was
important
like, but what-
papers and books.
It's the most
I was gonna
efficient
say, would
path.
Onyx like think to not sit at the head of the table, or would he just
no,
do it?
it would be the first chair he sees, so he's like, okay, I'll take a seat.
Exactly.
Find out it's the foot of the table.
Yeah.
Okay.
I start
so,
perusing the scrolls.
you can see that these scrolls, it looks like it's kind of the everyday workings needed to keep what appears to be some type of shipping business. In business, it's their ledgers, their books, things like that. Not a ton of extremely direct information, just a lot of like numbers, shipping numbers, things like that.
Do I notice any errors in the math?
Roll me an intelligence check.
Intelligence. Oh boy. Hey!
Oh. Crit.
It wasn't a crit, but
19.
19.
Nice.
You do not notice any mistakes in the math.
Damn it.
So
somehow
it
clean.
appears that this the math in this has been done well, for certain. So are you sitting at the head of the table?
Yes.
Okay.
Graves is just like looking over, like chatting with Herbert. More so that he doesn't have to be like responsible for Onyx because sitting there because he didn't see it. He's not paying attention.
I mean, if Onyx is paying attention to what Herbert is doing, Herbert would be like looking at him like quizzically and be like, he also kind of wants to see how it'll play out. So
Yeah.
we'll see what kind of person this is.
Onyx would look up and go, "Don't worry, the math's good."
Great.
Seeing the quizzical look at me reading the scrolls.
Yeah. Excellent. Good news. I'm glad she'll she'll probably be thrilled that you've seen the inner workings of her business.
Okay. So you're going to hear a door open over here. As soon as I pull this up. There we go. So over here you hear a door open.
As
And
possibly
you
before the
see-
table anyway.
Lady Voctor walk through, and she is coming over to here, and
Grace
she
will
doesn't
stand
really
up.
hesitate, and she just kind of walks straight to this seat at the end and sits down and just looks at you all and's like, "Thank you so much for joining. I don't know if your companion had told you. I am Lady Voctor."
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Graves would have like stood up until she sat down and be like, "Yes, thank you for having us. It's a pleasure."
I'm Onyx.
Onyx and
Oh, I'm Herbert, Lightforge.
If she looks over to Canarif, I guess Graves will explain because Graves already spoken to her before. And be like, "This final member here is our friend Conarith. He is taking a vow of silence. He does have magical sorts of ways to communicate with you, but telepathic, that's the word. But he prefers people are aware beforehand because it can be jarring, and some people prefer not to be communicated thusly."
it shows great control to be able to silence yourself in such a way.
Let me
I
check
will-
something real quick.
Oh, what's the distance you can do now?
Yeah.
I think you can.
15, 20,
It should be
25,
level.
30, 35.
Just scoot your chair over if
I
you
think
need.
she's literally just within range.
How far was it?
It's 10 feet per level. I'm level 4.
40.
So yeah.
Yeah, she's just in range.
You would hear her say, she's like, I will have to decline for now. Perhaps as we become more well acquainted, I may be more comfortable with it.
He just nods.
He can easily relay anything he wishes to say to the rest of us to communicate for you as well.
She nods.
Well, that's rude.
I mean, it's surprising how many people are just completely chill with it.
I know.
She
Well,
stands up and
Most
she's
people
like,
have been like confused by it, but
Like, what? Okay.
sorry.
she stands up and grabs a bell from the middle of the table and rings it. And you hear some shuffling in the room next door. You see multiple servants come in who are laden with plates. And she's like, she looks down and she's like, Onyx, I've been told that you do not eat. Is that correct?
Correct.
Is there anything that I can provide you that would be comfortable?
No, good. Thank you.
She nods and she actually sits down in the chair right here. In front of each of the other three, though, the plates come around the corner, and initially you see that it's just a very simplistic platter. It appears that there are eggs on this platter, as well as bread of some kind, and then there's also what appear to be sausages with it. The same meal is set in front of Lady Voctor, and she's like, please eat. My son's had some success in the forest, so we have venison.
Graves doesn't need to eat, but he fully can, so he will. Better to just look normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and anyone eating this, they would be like, this is probably one of the better meals you've had since you have been in Barovia.
Nice.
And Earth just reaches for some bread.
I mean, Herbert partakes of the meal. But yeah, no, he's going to enjoy himself a little bit.
Grace would be like, I ran into, well, I guess suppose you sent him, one of your sons, to deliver your invitation yesterday. Although I must admit, I never actually caught his name.
Carl inherited the manners of his father. He was the one I'd asked to find you, and obviously he was successful.
Yes.
Much more adept at a hunting camp than he is a coronation.
There are a need for different skills, so.
But we didn't have very much time to talk yesterday.
No.
What did you think of the festival?
To be
And-
fair, it was, well, I wasn't expecting something of those sorts to necessarily happen. I wasn't shocked.
I wish I could say that I was. These things have become so common.
I mean, it is quite a difficult task to maintain security around all these events happening so frequently. And there's only gathering people of all sorts. It's just bound to happen.
Hmm.
That's a very practical view of the matter. But I doubt very much that too much time and effort is put into the strict security of the event.
Oh yes, that could possibly be true. Yes.
It also wouldn't surprise me from a short time here.
Onyx, you appear to be the practical sort. What was your view of the festival?
I find it pointless to have a festival when so many people don't even laugh or cheer or enjoy themselves.
I remember when I was a girl, some people would laugh and enjoy themselves. It was still quite uncommon. As I was telling your companion, as difficult as it is to believe, the Baron, Vargas, his father was much worse. The type of rule that the Baron holds onto is that of more of an honor system, that he tries to corral the masses into the direction he wants to go, but doesn't drop down hard rules until it goes too far, like you saw the other day.
When his guard laughed?
Yes,
Yes,
he's
and
been
that's
punished, I believe, and pretty strongly.
in that sense I would almost sort of disagree with you, Onyx, that it's a useless festival as it has, I believe, a practical purpose. That purpose being for the burgomaster to control the town as he sees fit.
Well, I just meant when a majority of the population walks around like they are mindless.
Yes, you were talking about the listless. There's many names for them. But
Yes, I believe we heard shells yesterday. Something born of the land or something when we were in Barovia.
born of the land.
Something like that, at least.
Well, I know that I would agree with your assessment that there is a practical purpose, even though it's masked behind the goal of Vargas. But control is, I think, the number one goal of it. People
Absolutely.
keep having to prepare. I mean, we already have next week's festival announced.
Yes,
And you
the
can be-
Raven Revelry.
And you can be rest assured that the smiths and the clothiers and the printing and all of the other amenities of this great city are going to be moved, and all the resources are being poured into this revelry.
Keep the people you're trying to control busy. They don't have time to talk and plan an uprising.
Oh, and they don't have a chance to be able to live either.
Yes.
I
And
mean,
then when they do, they're dragged through the street on the back of a horse.
well, I mean, Herbert, you look like you're a man of craft.
This is a fact, actually. Yes.
What would you do if in your hometown the only option for business was meaningless labor? You couldn't pursue your passions, you couldn't pursue anything because you had to continuously work toward this monotonous goal.
I suppose I would probably try to find some way to automate that menial task and then move on to something else.
See, you're an innovator.
A lot
I've been
smarter
told
than
that,
most
yeah.
I've met, too.
Why
Well-
would you not just leave?
Because you're stuck in this valley.
If you don't have the means, then how could you?
The land of Barovia is dangerous, to say the least.
No. Burgomaster seems dangerous too.
Yes, but the walls protect against much more natural enemies. Wolves, werewolves, different creatures of the mist.
Hmm.
The stories themselves are enough to keep many people in, but very few farming communities survive unless they're right against our city walls. I mean,
Yes.
you've seen the weaponsmith limited to being able to craft the mask for the town guard. When you look in his armory, and we have been blessed by the number of adventurers that bring us capable weaponry to defend ourselves and to be able to expand beyond these walls and thrive.
Mm-hmm. For those like ourselves who come from beyond Barovia, this is... Well, there's obviously the issues here. When you compare this to the village of Barovia, this is the much more attractive option for the majority of people.
When I was a young girl, I visited the village of Barovia. I'd never seen a city without walls before. It was heartbreaking. When the wolves and the undead are able to just walk freely in, how can you ever feel safe?
When there's the amount of dangers there are in the mist, not ever, really.
When you're trapped in the walls with a monster, how are you feeling safe?
I would agree. But it's difficult when the monster's family has been in control for centuries.
And not everyone realizes the true nature of this monster.
They may realize, but choose the easier option.
It's easier to put on a nice face and go to a festival than it is to wander in the woods and fight off werewolves.
Yes, very much
Exactly.
so. And you do see some try to escape to do just that. The 3 orphans that recently escaped, the burgomaster has done nothing to attempt to find them.
No.
I thank you for bringing one of our own back, even if it was too late.
Does the Burgermaster not bleed?
What do you mean?
Figure if the town is upset with him, there'd be those that would try to eliminate him.
There are, but there's a few things that would stand in the way of that.
Assume Isaac being preliminary.
Yes. His right-hand man, loyal to a fault, and able to take easily 2 or 3 of our best commoners.
Yeah, but the Burgermaster put on quite the show. It would have just taken one person on a rooftop shooting a crossbow to take him
Literally
out when
my-
he was lighting up trying to light the torch in the Or a statue in the middle of town.
Was literally my plan for an alt if Graves died, just bring in a new alt on the top of the roof and snipe him. Oh, new character, that's the word.
I
Too much LARP now.
I think that what you say is true.
So maybe the town is not as upset with him as some people make it out to be.
I think many people are afraid to say what they truly believe, for fear of those things happening to them that happened to that young guard the other day.
Can't do it if you're dead. If the person commanding that is dead.
Yes.
But if those still loyal to him and of the same mindset survive, and you're unable to eliminate them as well.
Yeah.
Who would take over if the Baron were to meet an unfortunate end?
There are a few candidates. I would be one. I do not want to deceive you. That I would be near the top of the list. You are new to the city of Vallaki, so you may not be aware of our ways. But the old families are the ones that carry the weight of the burden of society and keeping it along the track. The Vlakovich, the Vaktors, and the Martikovs are three of the oldest families. Oh, and then there's also the von Holtz family as well. They aren't quite as old, but still quite old. There are no other families that have the amount of age or longevity that we have. Of the Martikov, we have Erwin, who is the patriarch. He is the owner of the Blue Tavern Inn. And he is quite well respected. I don't know if he would be interested in the leadership role, but I think he would be capable to do so. And then there's Vasily von Holtz. I don't think that he would be interested, but you can certainly ask him.
My impression says he would not. Would there be anyone else in the Valakovich family that would take over if the Baron were to meet an untimely demise?
My husband has passed many years ago. I am the oldest and I am the matriarch of this family. I would be the next in command.
And then what of the Valakovich, the Baron's family himself?
His wife is there, but she is married into the family and does not hold the same... Wait, I inherited the title of my husband when he passed. But I have shown myself a matriarch in her own right, leading this family for the last 5 years.
Does he not have any heirs?
He has a son, Victor. But I will... her hands clench, and you see that the knife that she's holding that she was using for eating is actually shaking in her hand. And she said, I would burn Vallaki to the ground before I saw him in charge of this city.
Even worse than his father, then.
Yes, I would say so.
Well, it's a good thing
There are
he's on a
certain
vacation.
things. There are certain things that even Vargas, I don't believe, would do, though he would deny them.
Yes. So it would likely come down to either you or Erwin, correct? Would be the most likely candidates then.
Those would be the ones that would give the townsfolk the least cause for worry.
That makes sense.
What are your plans with the city?
My
Yes.
plans?
What would you change about what's currently happening?
Yeah, 'cause
Exactly.
from what we
Interesting
understand, these festivals are what keeps the darkness at bay.
I'm going to assume you were being facetious, but
I look over at Graves and Herbert like, what's that mean?
It means you're joking.
I didn't laugh.
I will assume that you're being facetious, for I know you seem more intelligent than to assume that is what is holding Strahd von Zarovich away. And you would notice she uses his full name and title. She doesn't
Just
call
say
him
the
the
devil.
devil. She doesn't shirk away from his name. She's like, the only thing holding Strahd von Zarovich from marching into the town of Valaki is that Strahd von Zarovich does not want to walk into the town of Valaki.
Do you know of a particular reason why, or just that he doesn't have an interest?
I think that his lack of interest is the reason why. He has visited Valaki in the past, well before I was born.
Hmm.
And usually not for violence.
I also heard
Usually he has his taxes collected each year, but he is not the one to collect them. And I would say if he has any faults, his biggest fault would be being a negligent landlord, rather than being a homicidal maniac.
the father seems to believe that the ritual he does once a year is the one reason that keeps the evil at bay.
It is possible, but that church has been here since before the Count.
And the count
And
still arrived.
Strahd still arrived and still visited the town. The only thing that's consistent is that Strahd will go where he please. He is the ancient, and he is the land.
And there is nothing of interest in this town for him. It's just where people have gone to survive. And
Correct.
he can take his taxes from there and do what he pleases, whatever he wants, but there's nothing he cares about here enough to meddle in most of the time.
Yes. Am I correct in assuming that you are interested in assisting me in this matter?
I just want to point out that as we were talking about this, Herbert has got a very concerned look on his face as we've been talking about all this, but he's not saying anything.
Let me check something.
Herbert has 8 charisma, so he has no
Okay.
poker face.
She looks and she's like, "You seem concerned, Herbert.
Not
What's
me?
troubling you?"
Nothing at all. Wouldn't be anything interesting here for Strahd at all.
That's just his face.
I
Are
we
the
might be
eggs to
kind of
your
interesting,
liking?
I don't know. Oh yes, they are delicious. And the did they serve the venison already? Or did she just mention it?
They were in the sausages and stuff.
Yep. The venison is excellent. I've never
Yes.
had
And
anything like this in Barovia so far.
Konereth, I apologize. I did not know that your vow of silence also included a vow of bread and water. Am I correct in assuming that?
You're muted.
Bermuda for
Vow of silence.
Yeah.
He just stares.
Gwyneth just kind of slowly shakes her head toward her and mentions to the others that he just has always had very simple tastes and finds food, more refined food, to be almost difficult to consume.
Graves will relay that.
Okay. She rings the bell again, and one of the servants goes over to table. She kind of whispers something in her. Servant goes away. On there, she looks at the rest of the group and she says, "Rest assured, this is a safe spot that you can speak your concerns, which I think you should have many concerns based on what happened yesterday.
I believe that.
I am concerned that this town might need a new change of leadership.
Concerned that we might be putting or going from just a different type of overseer, right, from what we have now.
Yes.
Doesn't mean we're going better if we swap out.
I do have a question, possibly. Do
She
you
nods.
Now, we've heard of, say, what was the boy's name? The cobbler's son who was spoken out against the
Uda.
burgomaster. Yes, and he has disappeared, and I've heard tales of other people in the town, such as the like, or even other adventurers. Even one of the same cloth as I.
Yes, we had
We've
spoken
gone-
about him previously at
Yes.
the...
Yes, I've heard of them who've gone missing often. Not every case, but often ones who've spoken against the burgomaster, or perhaps who I wouldn't be shocked if he viewed them as threats. What do you suspect he would do, Manice? Do you believe that he would have them simply imprisoned, shipped off, or executed in the dead of night?
I've had reason to suspect that he takes them into his house. I've never been able to get a spy within, but though I've attempted.
Insight check.
Yeah, inside that.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have advantage, so I'm gonna roll my 2 dice.
How close?
First one.
I'm just gonna, as they're doing the insight, how close have you gotten?
I'd had a... unfortunately, a lot of the servants and things there have been very devoted to the family. So I have been
21.
unable to hire any
21.
help. Most of the commoners and stuff like that, they aren't really up to the task of espionage. And unfortunately, I don't really have any magical capabilities. It's one of the reasons I wanted to reach out to your group, as it seems like you have quite a few options.
21 on whether she got a spy, and I'd also love to insight if she has magical abilities.
Okay, so she got a 18. Okay. And you got a 21?
Yes.
Okay, so you are kind of watching her for her body language. You get the sense that what she says is true, that she, because you were asking about the magical and then the,
If she has any magical abilities and if she's ever gotten a spy in there.
So it does not appear that she is lying about the spy.
Okay.
What she tells you is the true. What the heck?
I accidentally rolled 4 d20s.
When it comes to the magical capabilities, you get the sense that she's being careful with her words. And that she might have some magical capabilities, but maybe not for the type that she needs.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I was kind of suspecting. The other thing that Grays would like to look into, if it's okay, what I very heavily alluded to a Temu being killed in the street. Did she react to that at all?
That was a little while ago. Had you rolled an insight at the time?
No, because she responded and we rolled on what she responded with.
So roll me a history check.
16 plus 1, 17.
Okay, I will allow you to roll an insight check for that time.
Nice. Okay, roll my 2d20, see which one's better. 5 or... Okay, 18 plus 5 is 23.
Dang, rolling well.
Enhanced ability, my man, because it keeps being like 4, 16.
Okay. And let's see. She has advantage on that one for that time period. So she had 15. 3. So she'd gotten an 18. So, with that, when you had said that you thought that he, remind me exactly what you had kind of said at that time.
I asked if the Burgermaster would have people such as a Temu and the Cobbler's son imprisoned,
Oh.
sent away, executed in the
Okay.
street in the dead of night.
I misunderstood. I thought you meant this was like you asked her at the festival.
No, just a second ago.
Oh,
It's
that's why I
basically
had to
like,
do the history check because I was like, well,
Okay.
that was like the day before. Like,
yeah.
um,
Yeah,
'Cause
right
I
now,
had a-
basically, it's like, does he murder clerics in the street in the dead of night?
got it. Okay, so with that reaction, she doesn't appear to react, to you saying that the Burgomaster kills them in the street. She kind of, is nodding along as you're talking. She said, as I said, I've long suspected that he takes some of them to his home, but I haven't been able to get any sense of what happens to them after that. I don't know if they're tortured and then killed within, if they are taken away and I just don't have the capability to track. But I have noticed that quite a few of the people who wrong him at the festivals or things like that will typically not return.
Yes.
So if you haven't gotten a spy in on the Burgermaster, who else
No.
in this town would want to know what is going on?
I think that there's quite a few people that would want to know what's going on. Quite a few pieces on the field, if that makes sense.
It certainly does. I also... We had dinner with the Baron a few days ago. And we got he allowed us to get a fairly good look around his home. I don't think we found... I'd be fairly confident to say that wherever he takes these people, if he takes them and imprisons them somewhere, it is not within his manor.
Did we check the basement?
I believe we found no entrance to a basement at all, correct?
Yes, the homes here are quite old. They typically don't have basements in Valaki. I think it's I was told at one point when I wanted to look at the possibility of adding one here, that's something to do with the proximity to the Lake Valakovich.
Wet ground, wet soil,
That's fair, yes.
underwater,
It's all
water,
silt.
underground water.
But
Yeah.
now that we know that we are somewhat aligned in our goals against the Baron,
Are we?
it appears so.
Somewhat. You still haven't told us what you plan to do if you get into power.
If I get into power, my goal is to allow the people to live and move along their own destiny. I would end the weekly traditions of the different festivals that are happening. The people can still celebrate them if they would like to. For example, we have St. Andrew's Feast. I have no intention of not allowing that feast to go through. We would
Oh,
Did we?
lost him.
we lost our DM.
Oh no!
No. Oh, we're
Oh.
waiting on GM. No.
We really
He's
lost him.
gone.
Oh
Well,
no!
Might be a
don't-
great time for a break.
Yeah.
So we'll
Bio
catch you
break.
guys shortly.
Yeah.
Bio break.
Yeah, because we
are back.
Hello and welcome back. We ran into a little bit of technical difficulties there, but we are back. The last thing that the players call asking about was they were asking what Fiona's plan was if she did end up in charge of the city of Valaki. So, she ponders it for a moment and then says, I think that the number one thing I would want to do is to get out of the people's way. People are much more likely to help their community when they're able to work on those things that they are passionate about. For instance, the weekly festivals. I would end those. It would be something I'd have to do to reinstate order, so that the economic factors that are in play are able to work towards the common good of the community. If we have the blacksmith that is constantly having to make new and new masks for the guards, he cannot focus his attention on repairing those things that would make the lives of Valakians safer and better. If the farmer needs to have his plow repaired, and instead the smith cannot help him because he is stuck having to work on these festivals, then the farmer is unable to make as much food, which harms the long-term effects of this community, as we are attempting to make food and the like.
Mhm.
I'd want to encourage open trade. The Baron has past history with the Vistani, but they are the only ones that can exit the mist, and I think that we should take advantage of that. There are many things that are very simple to get, but we don't have access to because they are outside of our reach. I think allowing the Vistani to be able to openly trade within the walls of Alaki is going to bring a lot more opportunity and more products to here, and it's going to allow us to have more competition. While I love Arasek, he is the only mercantile unless you go to Bilderath's in this village of Barovia. He has no one to compete with for selling goods, and his prices are quite high because of it.
Monopolies are never good for anyone, except for whoever has the monopoly.
Yes. I would reallocate the guards so that they were no longer focusing on the oppressing of the citizens, but rather the betterment of it, forcing the city to expand outwards so that we can increase the farming and increase the safety as the people are able to exit the city walls, get some space, and expand outward. I would want to create some alliances, whether it be with the city of Kresk or the village of Barovia, so that we are able to help expand our sister cities, so that they can be in the same situation as us. You yourselves had mentioned that Valaki was quite different from the other villages. I think that helping them, assist them, while we have more stability on our end, is going to be extremely beneficial.
Mm.
And as far as everything else, I think that would give us quite a bit to be getting along with initially. There are certain threats
Yes.
that I don't believe there's anything that we can do about. There is the threat of Strahd, but as I said before, I believe that he is more of a negligent landlord than a tyrant. And I believe that unless he has reason to come down here, then he will not come down here. We will continue making our taxes and doing those things so that we can remain upon the land without threat. And the mist is something that is ever there, but it does not mean that we need to just die because of the suffocating vapors that surround us.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, that all sounds very practical, to be honest. Sounds a lot like my approach would be, so...
Mm-hmm.
What about a black market?
I'm not familiar with this term.
It's an illegal market that operates outside the law.
I guess right now the Vistani would be the closest thing to a black market that we would have. As I already said, I'm okay with opening trade. I mean, I don't believe I would condone slavery if that is what you are asking.
No. I'm just curious where your laws would stand.
Well, I'm opening trade, so I guess if there wasn't trade that was illegal, there would be no need for a black market. Is there a particular item you're looking for so I can perhaps narrow down what you are hoping to gather?
Well, not anything particular that I'm looking for or anything. I'm just curious if there'd be a market or something where big shots usually, or higher ups in the community, deal and backroom deals. Things that the townsfolk, the common folk, don't usually deal with.
I wouldn't say necessarily necessitates being a black market.
No, but just curious what you foresee besides just the promises of good hard work for all the little people.
I'm not sure. I think that any release that I give will give them more opportunity than the oppression that they are currently facing. If you're wondering if there is going to be corruption, is that your query?
Well, let's be honest. Every leader, there is some corruption around them. It just depends on the level of corruption and what they hope to gain from it.
I don't really follow your question. I'm sorry, Onyx. I can't speak to what organizations would form in the future. That would be like me trying to guess what deck is next in the deck of cards. There's so many options.
What are you hoping to gain out of this?
I'm hoping to bring Valaki back to what it once was. Before the Vlakovich family lost its way. I do not hide it. I do not have any love for the Vlakovich family. They have been cruel tyrants, and I think that we must cut off the vine so that it will die out and no longer harm this great city.
Not that I disagree with how this governing individual has been, or family. Don't know the history. But I have been to many places. I have seen many a ruler, and they always have their own secret agenda. Sometimes the secret agenda is still, the trade-off is better than the one before it. Sometimes it's not.
So you're wondering what my hidden agenda is. I understand now.
As the TM goes, what was it?
That's
willing to say?
Exactly. Roll me a persuasion check.
No, because I am great at that. I don't know why I even talk.
Because you have good ideas.
I know, but I need to stop dumping
When you have
charisma.
intelligence but not charisma.
I don't have either. I have wisdom.
Yeah, Graves is the one right now who's like, I can do all the talking and such, but he didn't ask the question at all. Onyx is the one that asked. So Onyx gets to roll,
I know. That's just
which I
Onyx-
kind of like better.
You can still
Onyx-
insight the response.
yeah. Onyx just
Exactly.
has a
I forgot you roll on D&D Beyond.
it pops up in the chat.
Yeah, I just didn't have the
Oh.
chat up, so I was like waiting for it to roll, and then I was like, oh yeah.
I've just had a very bad experience with somebody that wants to oust other rulers. So it hits home a little differently.
Fair, very fair.
Yeah, you rolled a 12.
I did.
If it meets, it beats.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
I'm ready to
she-
insight her
and
answer.
then she's like, yeah, feel free to.
I'll wait for her to say it, then I'll roll.
Like, when I was quite young, it would have been about 30 years ago. I begged my father to allow me to visit the village of Barovia. I visited there. I met the Kolyan Indirovich. I saw a passion for the village that I did not see in Vargan, the ruler at that time of Valakovich. Coming back, I saw that I met some of the Vistani. They were a joyous people that I've not seen too much of anywhere else outside of their camps. It was there that I met Madame Eva. She told my fortune, some of which I'm okay with sharing with you, but others I would like to keep private. She had told me that I was bound for great things, and that I could possibly be involved in that thing that leads us to break free from the mist. I think that there will be bloodshed based upon the prophecy that she had given me. I still remember it, and I don't understand all of it. In the depths of Twilight's embrace, the luminescent coil unveils a bridge between realms, guiding souls on the clandestine journey. And when the ruin is complete, the blood of the outsider will shed sunlight on Vallaki again. And that's where we're going to end tonight's session.
What about
Oh,
the
boy.
insight check from Graves so we don't forget?
Yes,
let's do
feel
that.
free to do an insight.
Alright. The higher is a 15, so that's a 20 total.
Okay. She rolled a 19.
Ha ha!
That enhanceability is definitely
It's
assisting you in this
paying off
situation.
tonight.
You believe everything she said was true. You don't know if it's necessarily the whole story,
Yeah,
but what
I
she
mean,
said is true.
she admitted there's parts she didn't want to share, but
Is
no
Conereth,
falsehoods were given.
is Conereth just like staring at the key in his lap?
If you looked over, Canareth has actually just been sitting there holding the key in his hand. Just staring at the table.
Yeah. Well, I suppose we're pretty much done with the talk with her anyway. I do have things I'm gonna say to her before we fully leave, but
Yes,
that's
I'm
for
going to
next
also. I'm going to be posting Madame Eva's prophecy to Lady Fionna, Fionna Wachter, in the chat so that you guys will have access to it as well. That'll be in our Discord in the handouts.
Nice.
So, and I will be posting that soon.
Very good.
Slightly shorter session tonight. We are going to be switching up our uploading schedule, so hopefully we'll be a bit more consistent. We are going to be uploading on Saturdays instead, starting with this one. We thank you all for joining, and for the love of crits, like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.